And for those who don't know, I should introduce myself. My name is Bright Hess. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I've experienced psychotronics technology. Those are machines that act on the human mind, like many other people have in public, and so, and they can act on the mind in any in different ways. They could be often used in professional intelligence contexts, is what I've heard. I'm not an intelligence professional with a security clearance of any kind, and I don't want to pretend to be on the internet. Um, but I've been involved with synthetic telepathy technology for several years now, and sometimes people exposed to synthetic telepathy technology feel that they're having like an experience of being like mind controlled by outside forces, like they're losing control over their own life, and they want to regain control over their own life. And one of the journalists just wanted to encourage me to talk about how to control your own mind in situations like that. I, you know, I yeah, for myself, when I felt like I was having a situation where my mind was being controlled by outside forces, what helped me was actually to achieve contact with some spirit guides in my life. I began spirit summoning. I began spirit summoning, and I felt like through summoning spirits, I began to regain control over my own life, and I was no longer under the control of outside forces. And spirit helped give me independence from what was going on with what seemed to be outside forces controlling my mind or influencing me against my will, against my wishes. Because with spirit, you can't cut off the signal like that. Like with psychotronics technology, sometimes it's kind of like a satellite could access you, and it's and even people without synthetic telepathy implants can receive messages via psychotronics and technology, machines that act on the human mind. And once you have like a synthetic telepathy implant, though, like it's used in the military, people sometimes feel they're under the control of someone from the outside of them. Sometimes actually can be, because the synthetic telepathy implant can be put into your prefrontal cortex, and it can interrupt your executive functioning. Believe it or not, it's a very advanced technology. I think it's used in like the weird science and freaking magic department at certain government agencies, where unethical practices are standard or widespread. But that's another issue entirely. That's why you need to be able to take control of your own mind to be able to take control of it. Oh, really. And for me, I mean, I addressed this in an earlier video today. That goes right to the topic of philosophy and theory of mind for me, where, I mean, what informs what's in your mind? Because psychotronics technology can put messages in your mind that aren't from yourself, that are from external stimuli, external inputs, I could call them. And if people out there feel like they're being mind controlled, like outside forces are controlling your mind, I hope you're able to develop a relationship with spirit. That these forces aren't so in control of your life, that you're able to develop a relationship with spirit that helps give you independence of the mind control. If you can't find like positive psychotronics, I'm hesitant to mention the New Earth Army or the men who stare at goats at all, with what's going on with funny torture. I really respect Jim Channon's life work, and I respect what the New Earth Army does in trying to create like a positive psychotronics experience. Like, okay, machines are acting on your mind, and it's okay. It happens to everyone. It's just part of modern society. It's just part of modern society. And for people who call them a CIA front group, I would go, they're doing anything right at that part of the CIA, perhaps. And that's not an apology for atrocities. That's not saying that atrocities are good. That's just going, if we're all going to be exposed to this technology, obviously we want to be able to be exposed to this technology in a good way, so they can have psychotronics act on your mind that feel good. I know there's another deployment that kind of mimics what the New Earth Army tries to do, but I don't know what the operation's called right now, where it's just like, I don't know, I think one of them is having like, I don't know, we're thinking about science and technology together and it feels good. And it's a lot like what the New Earth Army does, where it's like, okay, well, the citizens experiencing pleasant psychotronics and they feel good. And if we're all going to be exposed to psychotronics, we might as well be exposed to positive psychotronics that make you feel good. Quite possibly, right? Because then psychotronics actually be helping with our mental health. If they're applied ethically, if they're applied... I was thinking about 9 Unknown Men again this morning, if they're applied in a way that's good karma. with apologies about bad karma and worse karma. So I had an agnostic phase. I talked about this last night. It's worth doing, and I was kind of turned off traditional religion, and I had one professor that wanted to apply the Socratic method with spiritual people, and I didn't really pull it off at university, where when I was having a Gnostic phase, where I go around to a spiritual person and be like, hey, I wonder how I can achieve spiritual knowledge, like the knowledge of spiritual beings. And what I would tell people in situations like that is I managed to do so through ritual magic. Um, I know I started learning about druid magic, and I went spirit summoning at like a tetragrammaton style altar, and one of the first spirits that appeared to me was called Ariel. I started looking into like a spiritual system called the Holy Kabbalah. I'm sorry. There's not like a good Tree of Life poster right here with me, where we can go over the Sephiroth and talk about the Sephiroth, and I can be like somebody's Kabbalah coach. Where I'm not quite the rabbi. Here we go. So, because for some people that's a job for the rabbi. That's something they learned very young. Is the spirit was there with them when they're in Saturday school. So as I wasn't raised Jewish, but I learned an appreciation for the Holy Kabbalah through through something of an unusual life experience I had that involved psychotronics technology, and I felt like I wanted to take control of my own life, and I decided to say, I wonder how I can achieve knowledge of spiritual systems. I looked to the Kabbalah, and I looked to Druid magic also, because Druids are allowed to practice the Holy Kabbalah, of course. And I'm hesitant to even bring the Druid Christians into it, like Winston Churchill and Queen Elizabeth II, after something that happened this morning. I certainly don't want Christians in my life to feel like hounded and harangued by me like constantly. The Druids won't leave you alone for some reason. Because once... No, Grand Druid. No. And I often have a Hindu psychic in my life. And Hindu psychics are all, I'm often interacting with, I won't say completely Hindu psychics. Here we go. Here we go with how to achieve knowledge of that spiritual system too. Where, I just lost my train of thought. So maybe I should wrap this one up for now. So if you're out there feeling like your mind is being controlled, I hope you can actually apply the Socratic method as like that. Especially if you're like an agnostic person, and go, I wonder how I can achieve knowledge of spiritual systems, instead of going, you're religious people and your imaginary friends. Because once you're stuck in that rut, people are going to call it, well, your dogma of atheism, and it's just going to be like an automatic response, like this person is dead to you. They are as the dead to you, warning you with this response. Once they're having like your dogma of atheism, they're warning you that they can't possibly conceive of this being the case, and that they're going to have these automatic responses to you. And that's a crowd that I'm sorry I'd encountered when I was in university in some ways, because when I looked back in earlier memories and went, oh yeah, that has a spiritual explanation. I had like an encounter with spirit. I had one or two encounters with spirit I could look back on, so I at least had memories I could fall back on. Where this sequence of I want to call them psychic inputs that I had, the psychic experience I had, certainly had symbolism or imagery or something that was of or corresponding to religion. And even though transdimensional grid work can mirror it very, very precisely from the Weird Science and Trick and Magic department, that doesn't mean that all spiritual experience is a hoax. So, or like an elaborate fraud. I mean, it's real to people. It's still a real element of their psychic experience, even if there's not always coherence between spiritual religious psychics. When I started focusing on my psychic experience, when I was having this experience, I felt a lot better. Where I began differentiating whether it was like a mind control experience I was having from the powerful technology, or Other spirit summoners acted upon me. Other spirit summoners were like, here, I want to do magical mind control, where I control your mind by sending a spirit to possess you or guide you, or have you do things my way. And people will do that when you talk when you talk about this technology is a suspicion of mine, where they'll try to summon spirits to you to try to cause you to have like an incongruent experience with others who are, say, reporting on these experiences. And that's why it's really important to take control of your spiritual life, is others will try to take control of your spiritual life in situations like this and give you like a magical mind control. They'll try to, I don't want to say give you spiritual attacks, but it's in some situations those say have to be ready to give spiritual attacks right back until they leave you alone. Here we go. There you go with establishing boundaries with other psychics. So I just want to say thank you, Nine Unknown Man. Namaste to you from the kingdom of Shambhala. It seems like they seem like a living legend to me. You could have convinced me they were completely real. I'm sure that Shambhalans were a complete legend. And so there's certainly a real egregore. At the very least, there's certainly a real egregore. I wouldn't be surprised if some people consider them an advanced extraterrestrial species. So, peace out for now, YouTube. Peace out for now.